Frank Mahan. I'm an Associate Director at Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. And we're here in our office today with Architizer. We were honored to win, I guess, the most A+ awards last year. And so Architizer asked if we could show some of those projects, share those with you, as well as some of the other projects that we're currently working on today. So we're really happy to have everybody here. We're in Lower Manhattan at 14 Wall Street, a landmark building, Bank and Trust building. It's a 1912 building with 2 floors here with about 350 people. But we're a global firm, of course. We have 1,000 people spread across 10 offices around the whole world. And we have a long legacy. We're one of the only firms to succeed its original founding partners by a long ways. We just celebrated our 80th year. But in recognition of that, we display on the wall here in our gallery on the 25th floor some of those really iconic, famous buildings like One Chase Manhattan Plaza just up the block here in New York City, or Lever House in Midtown, PepsiCo building, 2 of the very first curtain wall buildings ever built. 510 Fifth Avenue, this is the Manufacturers Hanover Trust Company building. It was a bank, all glass, built in 1954. Another famous Gordon Bunshaft building. The Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Remind ourselves where we came from as we think about how to evolve and develop new projects, and we look at the kind of clarity and simplicity and the structural logic of those. So sometimes that's easy to do, or I will say very direct, as in our very first project here, which is a project at the Air Force Academy. The Academy is an 18,000-acre campus that SOM designed in the 50s and 60s, and we had the opportunity to come back and design the first new really significant building in that main cadet area since the 60s. It's called the Center for Character and Leadership Development. It's an icon, it's an architectural counterpoint to the very famous chapel there. I mentioned 510 Fifth Avenue, which is another SOM building. We adaptively reused it just a few years ago and really brought it back to its original grandeur. But we do a lot of new buildings too, of course. We don't just revisit our older buildings. We're very active and have been since before 9/11 at the World Trade Center. We were thinking about how to help Larry Silverstein redevelop the World Trade Center before 9/11, and then afterwards became even more deeply involved. We designed 2 of the most important buildings there, 7 World Trade Center, which was the very first building to be built after 9/11. And then, of course, 1 World Trade Center known as the Freedom Tower, the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. This is my favorite model in the entire office. It was built by first and second graders in a program with the Center for Architecture. And after building the model, they got to come to the office and meet some of the grown-up architects that worked on the actual project and get a tour of the office, not unlike this one. Of course, we're an international firm. We do a lot of work all around the globe. Here are 2 more super tall towers. This one is in Seoul. This one is in China, the Guiyang Cultural Plaza Tower. This is the Diagonal Tower. Both of these projects, though very different, share an approach, a deep level of thinking towards the structure and the way it's expressed and the way it is relates to the original structural themes that were developed in the 50s and 60s and 70s by some of our most famous structural engineers like Fazlur Khan. So these are elaborations of some of those original structural ideas. We're trying to take those themes from the past and push them forward and develop them to the next level. On a totally different scale, we do a lot of education work also at the office. So we're very, very diverse, do a lot of different kinds of work. This is a a project that won an Architizer A+ award last year, so we're very proud of it. Very excited about that. It's the Kathleen Grimm School for Leadership and Sustainability. It's in Staten Island, and it is the first net zero energy school in New York City and one of the first anywhere in the whole world. So that means it generates as much renewable electricity on site as it uses in a given year. That's a very difficult feat to achieve. A university, by contrast, we have a model here. This is a model of a new school, a university center for them here in the city, in Greenwich Village. And this is a new model, a new paradigm really, of how to create an urban campus, a vertical campus within a dense urban setting in Greenwich Village, while still kind of fitting in. Let's look at the studio a little bit. You can see how we sit, everyone busy at work. But besides everyone's individual seats, we have collaboration spaces like this sprinkled throughout the office where we can pin up work on the walls, we can project work, we sit together and review it collaboratively. This team here is working on a virtual reality model. This is a brand new technology, so we're very interested in new technologies, not only construction technology, but design tools as well. And this is a really exciting one that we're doing a lot of research and work with right now. Let's look at a few more projects. There are several projects here, all happening on the west side of Manhattan. The west side of Manhattan is a new frontier. It's we're building an entirely new neighborhood there. It's incredible. The amount of development that is going on there is just unbelievable. At Hudson Yards, on the far west side, this is the largest real estate development in history. And SOM has designed the tallest residential tower as part of that development. And what is incredible about all of this work on the west side is that it's all happening over active rail yards. So all of this huge plaza here, these streets, everything you see here, before this development, that was all open rail yards. And that's still down there. Those trains are still running. But all of these plazas, all of these massive buildings are being built on top of those active rail yards. Well, they still run. So that's far west. If we step just east of that side of Hudson Yards, we have Manhattan West. This is a 5 million square foot development with 2 acres of open space. The entire thing has been planned and designed by SOM. You see the 2 towers here, which form a kind of gateway to that new neighborhood on the west side of Manhattan. But how do you get there? Let's step one more step back to the east. We have Moynihan Station, which is a part of the Penn Station complex. Everybody who's ever traveled through there knows what that's like. Not great. And so we've taken the historic landmark McKim-Mead and White 1913 post office building, and we're helping to transform it into a new train hall, which will relieve congestion in the existing Penn Station and create a new icon. Skylit, bright, appropriate way to get into the city and access all of this development on the west side. Let's look at a few more projects. So we do a lot of transportation work, of course, not just schools, not just towers, not just legacy work, but a lot of transportation. 2 rail projects. This one in Florida is the first of its kind. It's a massive private development. It's going to connect Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, Miami. SOM has master planned the whole thing, and we're designing all of the stations too. And they share a design vocabulary that you can see, so that they're not just gateways to the city, but they're a destination in themselves. Speaking about destinations, in Denver, SOM designed a multimodal transportation hub here. And the most iconic part of it is the commuter rail line here. It has an exterior train station. But it extends far past this with all kinds of different transportation woven together, and it has spurred an incredible amount of development. I was just here this summer. This is the place to be. This is the cool, hip place to go. The development around it is incredible. We're working all over the world, not only in trains, but with airports as well. This is a fantastic new terminal just finished in Mumbai, and it's really a symbol of that country's maturity. This international terminal is really important for them and for their economy. So a great project for SOM and a really important one to the country of India. Finally, I want to show you something a little bit different, not a full-scale architectural project per se, but research is really important to SOM. It's important across all of our projects, and it's important at a smaller scale as well. And so we have a research department for architecture, science, and ecology, and this is an invention, so to speak, that was developed as part of that department, and it cleanses indoor air, and it reduces the energy required for that indoor air to be cleansed, because it is naturally cleansed by the plants. So explaining beyond that is highly scientific and beyond my personal capabilities, but we're really proud to be on the cutting edge of research like this. It's actually being installed in a building today. So that's a very quick tour of our office. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for your time, and thank you to Architizer for making this possible. Don't forget the A+ awards are coming up. The deadline is December 16th. Thank you again.